In her book, The Bell Jar, the protagonist is called Esther, and she sits beneath a fig tree, and she has a vision. Each fig represented a different life that she might live. She was thinking about the fig being a famous poet, having a loving marriage, having a life in Europe, being an Olympic champion, a brilliant academic. Every branch held a full, desirable, possible version of her, and yet she was starving. To reach for one fig is to lose all the others, and she couldn't bear that. She needed to remain visible to every possibility simultaneously, to every audience, every version of herself, every branch, and so she sat, paralyzed, unable to commit, and the figs began to wrinkle and blacken and fall, one by one, to the mud at her feet. She didn't lose those figs because she was incapable. She lost them because she was so confused by the abundance of her visibility, all those possible selves on display, all those branches, without actually becoming something. So I'm here to argue about the biting of the fig.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And secondly, and may I invite you to also stand, so I'm not the only one stressing my heels. As you present your points, we'll have Rebecca next. Okay, okay. There we go. That's right.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. Start off today with saying thank you very much, Bisa, for volunteering. I plan to be sitting where you're sitting, so Bisa may be standing, so thank you. But thank you very much, WimBiz, for having me. Really appreciate this opportunity. I think it's a privilege and an honor, so thank you very much. I know you introduced us, but allow me to properly introduce us. I know. 2 minutes. I know. So I'm going to start off with, listen to this sentence and I'm going to need your help. I believe great work speaks for itself. If I do an outstanding job, people would notice.
No.
If you believe that's a true statement, can I see your hand? If you believe it's false, can I see your hand? If your team, it depends, can I see your hand? Okay, thank you.
That's fair.
You want me to repeat it?
Yeah, let's go.
Good. So,
Outstanding. For this short life.
Welcome to Team Rebecca and Ijoba Team VAC, which is Visibility Amplifies Competence. Turbocharged. Want to repeat that? Okay. We believe that competence is ground zero. That's the foundation.
Yeah.
You're not even, it's table stakes.
Yeah.
So we can't have a conversation if you're not competent.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I need you. Clock it.
Clock.
So that's what lets you into the room. Competence. However, visibility gives you a seat at the table.
Yeah.
And that first table and many other tables and bigger seats, that's what visibility does for you.
Yes.
And over the course of the next hour, we're looking forward to this transformational time where we'll all learn, not just you, even those of us sitting on this side. Thank you very much.
So I love this. Can you remind us what did you call yourself? VAT? VAC, not VAT.
HMRC left the WhatsApp group.
Excellent. So let's give it up for Team VAC. Would you like to speak next? The second member of Team VAC? Okay, there we go.
Team VACs are all attorneys.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, they're all attorneys.
First of all, I want to say a huge thank you to Hassan for inviting me, and I really hope I can live up to this. I'm honored, I'm thrilled, I'm excited, and just a little bit nervous, but today is not the day for me to have performance anxiety or to have imposter syndrome, because I'm here to talk about the power of visibility. I have a professional background that's quite varied. I'm an attorney. I used to be a prosecutor in Chicago. Then I was an entrepreneur and ran my own business for several years. And today I'm an artist. And until recently, I also worked worked in the corporate world here alongside my art practice.
Oh.
Throughout the lifetime of my career, visibility was always the key to my success and my progress. While I'll acknowledge, of course, that competency is important for a sustained career, you have nothing if you don't have that. As Ujoma said, it's the foundation for everything. But visibility creates the opportunity for people to discover that you have competency.
Ooh.
Without being discovered, your career won't even begin. You won't get out of the gate, let alone thrive. So visibility is powerful. I suggest it is the catalyst that builds your professional reputation and makes you discoverable. In the contemporary world, the whole adage of your work will speak for itself doesn't hold true anymore. You need to speak for yourself. You need to speak for your work. There's so much noise and distraction in our everyday. Competence alone will not get you recognized. I'm looking forward to talking about what visibility is, ways to make yourself more visible, and the importance of authenticity. So thank you again for having me. I'm really excited for this debate.
To the stage, introduce yourself.
Hello everyone, I'm Naka Wood. I've got family members here, so it's pressure. Career, derived from French word carrière. Apologies any French people. Road, racecourse, implies a journey, longevity. Long-term progression of a person's professional life. It's not just a job, that's a task, a position, or an occupation, what you're trying to do. It implies direction, development, and identity.
Wahala.
Hallmarks of a successful career: clarity of direction, strong relationships, reputation for reliability, resilience, legacy or impact. Note, not visibility, not noise. Competence, the ability to do something successfully or efficiently. Knowledge, applied with sound judgment. Reliability, tested under pressure. The ability to solve problems and keep learning. The difference between appearing capable and
Being capable.
Children have an incredible way of simplifying the most difficult things. So oftentimes I turn to my children when I have difficult questions. And Adora in them would testify. And 2 days ago I asked my 8-year-old, I said, tell me, what is competence? He said, knowledge and ability. Being cool. And visibility, being there. I'm not sure there's much more to debate. But we'll continue. It's the competence thing to do. Now.
Lines they cry. Lines they cry. Buzz.
Let's set the scene. Last year, I walked into my house. Burst pipe. Anyone ever had that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's pouring. Water everywhere. Everything's getting damaged. My options? First, let's call plumber. Let's call him Matt. My husband's name's Matt. Turns up, all the gear and no idea.
Oh my God.
Social media presence, everything. Does he fix my leak? No. I'm getting quite anxious and frustrated as I watch the damage ravaging my home. Matt says he has to go away. Perhaps to go call the more competent person. Let's do that. Now, message to a neighbor recommends, let's call her Cheese. That's my sister. Arrives and within minutes, calmly stops the leak. She has worked on several like this. She's learned over the years, watched a mentor, she started the right way. So, who are you going to call? People, organizations want value. That's what they pay for. Competence gives value. Repeated value over time creates trust. Trust is the cornerstone of professional relationships. Professional relationships inspire credibility, and credibility is what gives an occupation or job longevity. Now, this is my closing statement.
Anecdote. Rally. And I stopped you from doing the closest statement. I should be back. Alright, that kind of messed up my format a little bit, but I appreciate what you've done here. Okay, so we are going to have, yes, the opening statements, or building up on your first points in the first round, starting with, I was on the same order. Andrea. Yes, come through. Give Andrea a round of applause. Stories.
Can I get this slide again? I'm going to keep referring to it. Okay, so our opponents have argued that visibility is a catalyst, but in an era of algorithmic attention and compressed professional timelines, to be seen unseen is to be passed over. That's basically what they were saying. They're not entirely wrong, and I'll grant them that, because the most dangerous concession in any debate is the one that you refuse to acknowledge. But I want to press them on a distinction, and that is that there's two kinds of visibility, and they're not equivalent. There is the visibility that accrues as the residue of genuine work, that arrives because the substance is undeniable, because institutions and peers and publics are compelled towards you by the force of what you actually built. And then there's the visibility that is manufactured, constructed ahead of the work, or worse, entirely in its absence. The first, I don't have any quarrel with. The second, I think, is historically catastrophic. You're going to figure out in all my statements, there's like little stories, because I'm a little bit of a geek with books. But the reason why I've got a little image in the middle is that I wanted to talk about Jean-Paul Sartre. In his novel, The Age of Reason, and this is the first volume of his Roads to Freedom trilogy, there's a character called Mathieu. And in the book, the man Mathieu is furnished with every advantage of the Enlightenment era. He has intelligence, freedom, opportunity, the rational, self-determining individual, fully realized. And in the end, his existence is structurally empty. Sartre's deepest argument isn't that Mathieu is adrift, it is that freedom without commitment is its own form of imprisonment. All that capacity, all those open doors, and because he anchored himself to nothing, he is committed to nothing, he's bitten into nothing. He is trapped by his own infinite possibility. Toothless, turning, going nowhere. Give him reach, give him profile, give him a verified account, give him a speaking fee. You have the defining professional pathology of our moment, a career constructed on visibility rather than substance, laid out before a global audience with no private space in which to recover when the edifice begins to crack, and it always cracks. The mathematics of overexposure are merciless. The height of the visibility determines the scale of the fall. We've all watched it happen. I'll be diplomatic, I won't name names, but I'm sure you can think of some people. We see it every day. The person who is endlessly visible in meetings, on panels, in every room, when the crisis comes, when the deadline is real, when the pressure is genuine, they're nowhere.
No.
Because visibility has become the job. The performance has replaced the work. My opponents may point to someone famous, like, I don't know, Virgil Abloh, for example. But if you look carefully at what he actually built, the rigor of his archive, the seriousness of his institutional relationships, he did not become significant because people were watching. People watched because he was already building something significant. My opponents may say, I don't want to put words into your mouth, and they might be right in some way, that genuinely competent people are overlooked, that quiet excellence goes unrewarded, that the room will not find you if you do not make yourself findable. I agree, but the answer to structural invisibility is not to perform visibility. It is to build the conditions under which careers that collapse.
Well played, Andrea. So, we've heard from both JC, crew, right? Andrea? Okay. No, I'm just trying to clarify that you still have a point for the first round. Oh, okay. She said, I'm ready. Okay, I got you. I just wanted to check. Okay, so we will have Rebecca come up next, please.
So I touched on this in my intro, and you're going to hear me say this a lot today, that visibility is powerful. Again, it's the catalyst that builds your reputation, that creates opportunities for growth both within your organization and in your industry at large. Competency keeps you in the building, but visibility gets you in the room, gets you a seat at the table. It's how you spark the curiosity of decision makers. They can open doors for you that allow you to develop competency so you can really flourish. Visibility should never be your job. It's the steps to make sure your talents are recognized.
Yeah.
And it's not performative. It's simple, attentive, intentional adjustments that move you from being invisible to being recognized. For example, when you're looking for a new role, it's better to say, I have an expertise in fintech than to say, I work in finance. Because when you are specific about you, yourself, what you want for yourself and the future of your career, that's how you're visible to people who can help you make an impact. That's how you get set on the career path that you want, or you take the leadership role you're aspiring to. And leadership presence requires competence, but it is not built quietly or by shouting. It's a balance that includes being comfortable sharing your accomplishments while not being overbearing. It requires working across teams, formally and informally, and the approach of building a network of people to support you with a wide net mentality. It means that eventually your reputation for competency will precede you. You are known. Now let me give you a little bit about my story. I moved here 16 years ago, knowing no one in this country, with 2 kids and a husband and 29 duffel bags, but that's a whole other story. But it required me to, I came here to study for my MA, but I also had to redevelop myself professionally. So alongside that, I started to work with a company called Colors. And they own a lot of professional fine art materials, like Winsor & Newton, for example, which is the heritage British brand. And I started off at the bottom of the barrel. I was a freelancer 1 day a week working in the gallery that they owned. And within a few years, I was the head of partnerships and artist engagement. And how I went from here to here was because I made my competency visible. And pretty soon, I worked collaboratively across teams. I actively sought out opportunities to show my value on existing projects. I came up with original ideas. I collaborated with people, and pretty soon I was working across social media, strategic partnerships, public art commissions, and then all of a sudden I found myself at the coffee machine with the CEO saying, Rebecca, why don't you write your own job description? What would you really like to do? And I said, oh, okay. And he said, send me that. So I sent it to him. The role that I absolutely wanted. I should have probably asked for more money than that, so that was another story. But he created that role for me, and I took that job. And I would never have had that opportunity or that progression if I hadn't put myself out of my comfort zone. If I hadn't decided I needed to make my competency visible. So, although it's important to put yourself outside of your comfort zone, and that's how you increase your competency, it's also really crucial to be authentic. Everything you do should come from your heart. And authenticity is different for everyone. For one person, it's short, sharp social media posts every day. For someone else, it's writing engaging thought pieces that dive deep into a subject and shows your industry you're at the forefront of their thinking. But whatever you choose, it has to come from within yourself, because that's the only way that you can inspire trust amongst your colleagues, create a genuine professional network, and build your reputation. Today, standing and developing professional allies is really important because it's projected that recruiters are going to be using AI in the next 2 years to evaluate and pre-screen applications long before anyone really sees your work. So that means you need to speak for your work. You need to get your work seen.
They're not doing it
And
already.
speaking of being seen, is anyone familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect?
Yep.
Okay, so that study, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, says that, or showed that people that are not very competent rate their own work very high.
Yeah.
And that's because they're unaware of the gaps in their competency.
Yeah.
People that actually are really good at their job, they tend to rate themselves much lower.
Lower.
And that's because those people know what they don't know.
Mm.
And they're waiting until they get to that skill level where they feel like, now I want to shine a light on myself. Well, that destination never comes. You never get there. There's always going to be more to learn. So you can't wait for that. And that is how competence is camouflage. Excellence without visibility equals invisibility. And I'll say it again. Competence becomes camouflage. Excellence without visibility is invisibility.
Thank you, Rebecca. So many beautiful, beautiful gems there, and right on time, actually. So I like what you're saying about visibility with specificity. And when you're competent, you can be able to say, I want X, Y, and Z, and the person who's going to align with you knows exactly what to do, even to the extent of giving you your dream job. So that is beautiful. This is good. This is strong. I'm writing notes, and I'm taking the notes for myself as well. Okay, I am going to invite back to the stage. Maybe we should have had, because your competence, your visibility, and then you are also visibility and then competence again. Okay, so let's have competence. Come back up. More anecdotes on sistership. Here for it.
Let's scotch this. Right. So they stopped me. I had more to go. Now, back to where we were. There have been lots of people with incredible visibility over the years. I have a few examples. Good one that comes to mind. Remember her, Elizabeth Holmes, the runner? Yeah, she was bright, Stanford chemical and electrical engineering student, claimed to have developed some machine that would run rapid blood tests, detect every new illness. Yeah? Yeah, she was bright. She was likely, what did they say? Competent? Yeah? She was. That was the entry. No, they said the entry level was that the ground zero was that we were all bright. She was very bright. She was already in Stanford. But she was a genius, don't you say? She had enormous visibility. She was on the cover of every glossy magazine. Mark Zuckerberg was jealous. Now, unfortunately for her, she was distracted by visibility. She left Stanford, started her thing, hung out with Sonny, her boyfriend, and they started deceiving the entire world. And when substance was tested, she came crumbling down like a pack of cards in dominoes. So, perhaps she should have spent more time developing her competence, maybe stayed at Stanford. She may not necessarily have found something groundbreaking, not all of us do, but I believe her legacy would have been more lasting. It would at least have been better than being in an orange jumpsuit, whichever direction. So, let's just say a career is a journey, fuel for which is competence. So like a car without fuel, there's simply no career without competence. Now, my opponents here have come up and they told us all about how to make ourselves visible. They missed the point. The debate was visibility versus competence. Alright? If you're competent, shine through. Part of competence, like I said before, is direction. It's actually being competent enough to find your direction and pursue it. So coming to tell us how to find our direction is definitely not a debate between competence and visibility. Now, carrying on from where we left off, remember we left off with cheese. Now, so we all agree that we value cheese and we'll use her again and again and again. Thank you. Likewise, in a work or business environment, cheese will always be called upon because of the value that she brings, the results that she creates. Long-term effects, cheese is learning more, she's being exposed to more, growing, developing more technical and professional skill, and gaining more experience. Cheese grows, develops, does not become stagnated. Growth is an important aspect of career progression. Each exposure gives cheese the ability to learn, to modify and adapt. Matt, on the other hand, he's still swanning around in his shiny suit until the baby stops looking so dark and he's discarded. And waiting for that day too. Now, with this growth comes confidence. And it is this confidence that creates independence. The confidence that you know what you are doing, the confidence to speak up, the confidence to be visible in a positive way, to give your visibility direction. As a lawyer with a finance background, what can be an extremely competitive and demanding environment? Confidence is a necessity. I will pause here to say that confidence and arrogance are not the same thing. Confidence is what builds effective leaders. It is confidence that commands followership. You think of competence in terms of, where's my prop? I often think of competence in terms of stages of learning. Anyone got it for me? So, Rebecca actually touched on this a little. But what she actually said was that these guys who are actually consciously competent and unconsciously competent are the losers. They're sat there being competent and no one's noticed them. I'll tell you about this. This is the stages of learning. And for a very long time when I was starting my career, we had a partner who often called us, and it wasn't always based on stages of learning. We also gave it to us in terms of competence. We look at it like this. So, we start with unconscious incompetence. That's what Rebecca was talking about. Most people start here, unaware of their limitations. However, with some hard work, the right attitude to work, you progress quickly from this position. The next one, conscious incompetence. Awareness. You now know your limitations. The realization that you don't know anything is a pivotal moment.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you join the visibility bandwagon? You fake it until you make it? Or do you acknowledge your limitations and resolve to improve, to grow organically? That's the question. Then, come to that guy over there. Oh, he looks really confused. That's how I usually am. So, he's conscious competence. At this point, you've developed what you mean conscious of your limitations. Confident is striving. Then, you meet the Zen guy over there. He's that quiet confidence in exactly what he's doing. This is the point where competence becomes a part of you, your identity. Remember, your career is your identity. You are secure and safe in your own skin. You are thriving. Now, I said before that with confidence becomes independence. Knowing your worth and therefore being able, in my case as a lawyer, to give unbiased, credible advice. You are not compromised or held back with concern about maintaining a particular image which could skew your advice and credibility of your work. Your work becomes your identity, something that cannot be taken away from you. Visibility can and is often subjective. Whilst not ideal, it's a fact. Whether you are visible, regardless of how much noise you make, can be dependent on your audience. After all, beauty, they say,
It's in the eyes of the beholder.
Biases, race, gender, ethnicity, religious and sexual orientation, in fact, the perfume that you wear can and often impact how you are perceived and received, which is subjective. Competence, on the other hand, is an objective measure. It is results and evidence
Based.
See you a bit.
Woo!
I was trying to find a way to run up.
Okay. So first of all, examples that my colleague, are you my colleague? No. Okay. We used to be. We'll be friends when we get there. Okay. I think what you were describing is a character problem. It wasn't a visibility problem. Don't you agree? Yes. It was a character problem. I used to be in banking, and I was taught the 5 C's of credit. And the most important part of credit is the character. It's not about how competent you are. You can be the 5-star analyst who can run a business, but if you lack character, you will channel the funds that were meant for your business into your personal funds. That's a character issue. It's not a visibility issue. It's not a competency issue. It's a character issue. Just wanted to.
Clock.
Clock it. Okay. Now let me move on to, because my acronym PI. P is for performance. I is for image. And E is for exposure. PI. That is the bedrock for the trajectory of a career, a successful career. So can I walk through it? You want to come over here? Performance. That's the competence that NECA did a great job describing. It's your abilities, skills, and it helps you deliver excellent work. And that competence really enables you to perform. And like I said, that's the first layer. It's important. We're not saying competence is important. When we go back, can you read that with me? What we're simply trying to say is you will first be competent and then you perform. However, image is important. It's not about how great you are, how competent you are, how skilled you are. It's also about how are you viewed. Do you know? Do you know? When your name is mentioned in a room, what do people say?
Brand.
Do you know?
No.
If you don't know, find out. You get in there.
Perception.
That's the foundation for opportunities you will get or not get. It's important what people say about you.
About you.
Is she excellent at her work? Does she complete her work on time? Is she a whiteboard kind of person? You don't need to follow up with her. When you give her something, she gets it done. That's what they will say in the room when you're not there. That's your image. And if people don't know how excellent you are, it doesn't matter because you're not going to get the next opportunity. Exposure. That's what others who don't work or interact with you hear about you, especially in the room with decision makers. They're the ones who have the ability to represent you, to advocate for you, to say, give it to a person, she delivers. If you give her the project, go to sleep. That's exposure. If you're competent and nobody knows it, you ain't getting that project. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Are people willing to lean in and spend their credibility currency for you? Are they? Would you spend your credibility currency for someone you don't know?
No.
Okay. Now you're on my side. Thank you. And that's what this speaks to, is visibility, your brand. Who are you? What are you known for? So you're doing that great work, but do we know? Who knows Harvey Coleman?
Exactly.
Harvey Coleman? Okay. Up your phones. 2 seconds. Just Google. You know why? He says for him, and you may disagree, career success is 10% performance, 30% image, and 60% exposure. Let that sit with you for a bit. So let me tell a story to close this out. Your child needs extra help in chemistry or English, and you need a private tutor for your child. You have 2 names on your list. You've heard about them. And so you were talking to your lovely neighbor of 15 years. Oh, she gushes about how one of them is so good, really understands what the children need. This tutor helped Dan and Shehi and Nika to excel at the GCSEs. And these are children you know. And you know they have excellent grades. And she has one more thing that she specifically loves. That he goes over and beyond. And he continues to reach out to share updates and ways in which he's refining his tutoring practice. Okay, you file that away. You go for your PTA meeting, you step out into the lobby, there is that tutor. You recognize him from the picture that your neighbor shared. You know what he came to do? He came to school to volunteer to prep some children at no cost.
Volunteering. Yeah.
He lovingly affirms them. He tells them they're great. He tells them that they'll be great at the exams and that they will excel. Who would you hire for your child?
The person I saw.
Why? Thank you. And with that, I'm going to leave you.
That's it.
Yeah, so when you talk about her, I just did a quick Google. So she is indeed in an orange suit currently, serving an 11-year sentence
Wow.
And what came to my mind was, what can she learn in 11 years to get the competence and then come back and use the same scamming mechanisms to take over the world? So she can actually become competent in something and then use the scamming visibility to take over the world. Anyway, it made me just think about the timing of things. Which one should come first? Spend time really learning a skill, becoming
Competence.
competent. Sometimes that takes years, decades. Many of us have put in the time and the work, and then visibility can happen. But I would say quickly. That also is its own skill. But anyway, that's what I was doing, Googling her sentence. Next, we're going to do the second round of points. Again, 5 minutes for each speaker, starting again with Andrea. It's harder than it looks. Much harder than it looks. So keep cheering.
Really my slide again. But as it comes up, okay, here it is. Really interesting points that we've listened to. A lot of talking about ourselves and how to get ahead. I know that we're trying to develop ourselves, but I kind of wanted to bring us back to maybe a different type of purpose. And I also wanted to do something that I suspect will distinguish this side of the debate from the other side, and that is to hold our own position to genuine scrutiny. So we have heard, and there's some correctness to it, that competence maybe doesn't self-present, and that there are profoundly gifted people who remain structurally invisible because the infrastructure for their recognition was never constructed, because institutions weren't oriented towards them, because the validators were looking elsewhere, because excellence had been defined long before they arrived by people who didn't look like them, and we can accept some truth to that. And in many ways, it's been an animating bit of a lot of the work that I do curatorially. But I also think we maybe need to be a bit more precise, because precision is where this argument lives and dies. And I'm seeing like kind of a flow between the arguments as well. So because I'm now your resident philosopher, I'm going to bring us back to the human condition, because I think that that's a good central point to now think about something bigger than ourselves. I'd like to make the distinction, as Hannah does in the human condition, that I think it's the most useful philosophical tool in this debate, and she argues that the obsessive need to appear, to be seen, to be visible, to perform, that doesn't expand the self, that collapses it. She argues that to make genuine thought possible, to think about the private spaces where competence is actually developed and deepened, is destroyed by the relentless pressure to appear, to get ahead. Visibility pursued as an end, as she argues, and I definitely agree, goes against the very self it was meant to display. So, in short, you become, over time, nothing but the performance. We all know what the pressure's like. I have navigated it from the beginning of my career. It's cutthroat in this art world. There's a lot of discussion about, I guess it's more connected to what your values are than maybe other industries. And I think that's quite correct. I curated an exhibition actually called Invisibility and Hypervisibility, and I was very careful to make a specific claim, and that claim was to think about how history has rendered certain spaces and the taking up of certain spaces can be seen as a political act. But that is group visibility, that is movement, and that is activism. So yes, visibility can be an instrument, but visibility can't be a destination. What we're cautioning against today is something else entirely, and there's a phrase for it, but I want to keep things civil. I think what's being argued for is vanity with considerably better lighting. You've got a picture of Marcus Aurelius on a horse there. I put him there because he is going to give us the corrective orientation. He said, the intelligent person does not seek to impress, but only to understand. That is active, disciplined, turning towards reality rather than towards one's own reflection in it. Humility, understood this way, is not self-erasure. It's what keeps competence from hardening into performance. It's what keeps you genuinely porous genuinely rigorous, genuinely capable of being surprised by what you don't know. So I'm going to bring you back to the fig tree again. We love the figs. Imagine every branch is a possible version of you. Every fig is a different form of recognition. It could be a profile, it could be a platform, it could be the spring. And imagine the paralysis of wanting to be seen in every direction simultaneously.
Yeah.
The watching, the waiting. That is what happens when being known becomes the objective rather than the evidence. The test is simple and it's uncomfortable. When visibility stops serving the cause, when the platform requires you to compromise the substance to maintain the reach, which one do you protect? The people that protect the visibility, that single choice tells you everything about what they are actually building. For women in particular, the pressure is doubled. We are told simultaneously to be more visible, but also to be more substantial, to take up space, but to earn the space we take. That is not a personal failing, it is a structural contradiction. And competence is the only way through that does not eventually cost you yourself.
Agreed.
That was right on time.
Yeah.
Being a woman, women on this panel, how I want to hear some personal tea. We need some tea. Personal stories.
Tea we take.
What's that? No, we don't need you. This is a safe space. So, this is a safe space? Safe space. So we want
Arguing for visibility without substance. I'm saying substance comes first, and then after that comes visibility. And I don't think a woman living in an orange jumpsuit right now was ever competent. I think she was hiding. So while I hear what you've said about competency, I keep coming back to the fact that you cannot build a future for yourself professionally or personally without some visibility. Competence alone isn't enough. I think I mentioned earlier, I really wanted to cover the importance of authenticity, and that's really key here. And it's about having the competency and the authenticity underneath everything that you do. Visibility is not the end, and visibility should be incremental, meaning start small, develop from there.
Yeah.
Take on projects, put yourself forward for things where you know you can excel, where people can see that you have that
Agreed.
competency, and people aren't thinking that you're just putting up a bunch of smoke and mirrors to hide behind. And then start looking for things that actually stretch yourself. Find out opportunities to show both your skill and your talent and how much dynamism and intelligence and energy you bring to everything you do. And then also, through half of it, you're going to have a really strong learning experience. So maybe 50% you feel like, yeah, I know how to do that, and 50% you're going to have to stretch your competency, you're going to have to expand yourself. Those are the opportunities that will allow you to grow, and also allow you to more successfully find professional allies for yourself. I love Malcolm Gladwell's writing, and he writes about connectors in his book Tipping Point, which perhaps a lot of you have read as well. I know it's been around a long time, and it's a great book. He talks about connectors, and connectors make change happen through people. Connectors galvanize people, and it's important. Show your talents to these connectors. Cultivate relationships with them. These are people who are proactive and dynamic. It's the person that you call to go out to lunch with and say, oh my gosh, I've got this struggle at work and I'm not quite sure what to do. And that person's going to say, let me have a coffee with Evasan, my friend Evasan. She's going to know what to do. Let me introduce the two of you. And before you know it, she's also recommending a conference to go to, a book to read. And when you're back at your desk, your inbox has the introduction to Evasan, a link to the conference in your WhatsApp, and a link to the book. Those are connectors. Those are the people that you want to build relationships with, and that is who you want to be yourself. Because it is not about finding benefits for yourself alone. It's about providing benefit and support to others as well. And if you don't see positive outcomes from all of your efforts to establish yourself as a really amazing, competent individual in your industry and to draw visibility to what you can do, maybe you have to move on. Maybe you have to leave your firm, and it's not personal. It doesn't have a reflection on your intelligence or your ability to do the job. It might just be that you need to move, even if it's a lateral move, in order to find your own upward mobility and get where you want to be.
Yeah.
And that's when relying on strong professional allies is really going to come into play.
Absolutely.
That's when you're going to want to make a strategic, intentional move So you'll ask people, hey, do you know someone at this firm? What's the culture like there? What are the people like there? What sort of structures do they have in place that will allow me to grow and to get attention for my talents and what I can do? And if you do move like that, that is, I'm sorry, I'm getting around to myself in my notes. And that brings me to the importance of visibility within your industry. So earlier when I started, I said it's important to be visible in your organization and in your industry at large. And that comes into play when you need to move. There is no substitute for talent. There is no substitute for competence and ability, but you need to make your talent known in order for it to work for you. And that is why visibility is so powerful.
Absolutely.
It's not
So there's something I want to say to follow up on there, but I'm aware that we want to bring up Ijoma. Yes, for her 5 minutes, and then I'll come back to it. Careful. I was really curious about the pie. I know that maybe sometimes when it wasn't quite 10:30.
Like I said, it's not like I don't particularly. Those are his numbers. Let me put it that way. I'm just trying to explain the concept and the fact that competence is important, but image and exposure are very important.
Yeah.
So if I ask you across the room, how many of you have an executive bio? If somebody asked you to send, oh, there's this position that came up, can you send it to me? Do you have one? Professionally written, that you're proud of?
Yeah.
Well done. How many of you have good headshots? Professional headshots? Well done.
Clock it.
How many of you say yes to every speaking engagement you asked to go for?
Everyone.
Aha. See, I knew it was going to get low. That's the issue. You're an artist. And if there were, so let me use something else. Let's use finance. And you've been doing syndicated lending for 10 years. And they're looking for someone, they're looking for people to speak on their panel, particular individuals, and they go through the first 5 and nobody calls your name. You should sit with that for a minute and ask, why? Why did nobody remember me? I'm very competent. That's why your image and exposure are very important. Do you write articles?
Yeah.
Comment on things? You do?
Yeah.
Good. How many do? That's why the next time they'll look for you. Top of mind awareness.
Toma.
I'm not in marketing, I'm not in advertising, but I know what top of mind awareness is. It's right there. And every time they say WimBiz, they'll think of Mgove, Lisa, Mrs. I, because they see their faces, they
Yeah.
see their names.
Yeah.
That's why it's important. Now, these are the numbers, so they go to minutes. But I thought it was important to give some examples. And you asked me in the last slot, you said, well, how would I know? I said to you, it's important that in the rooms where the decision makers are, they may be your boss's boss, 7 lines of separation, but they've heard about you.
Yeah.
They saw that project and they said, wow, who did it? And they said, she delivered it, or they delivered it. So they know about you. And so when the next opportunity comes, they're like, we want that person on that project. That's because your image and this exposure, your top of mind awareness for them. That's why competence is important. However, visibility is critical. Now I'm going to read an excerpt from my favorite book of all time, How Women Rise. Anybody know it?
Sally Helgensen.
If you don't know that book, you need to buy it today. Today. You will buy that book today. How Women Rise.
Marshall Goldsmith and Sally
What got you
Helgensen.
there?
Won't get you there.
You know that book?
Yeah.
Good. Sally wrote the female version of that book because that book, in her view, was really tailored to men, and so she wrote one for women that identifies 12 habits
That hold women
that
back.
we all have. Some have 4, 2, 1. Everybody in this room has some. Someone talks about one, and an earlier panel, ruminating.
Yeah.
Something doesn't go well, you play it over
And over again.
over and over. I shouldn't have said that. I should have said it. And you play it today, you play it tomorrow, and then the next day is called ruminating. Remember biology? The cow eats its food and
Regurgitate.
Yes, that's exactly what we do. But anyway, that book, I'm going to be the part, it says, effectively marketing yourself, far from being shameful, is an important part of every job. And it's key to helping you reach the next level of success. If you want to reach your highest potential, making your achievements visible, especially to those at senior levels, is as important as the actual tasks that were spelled out in your job description. If you don't find a way to speak about the value of what you're doing, you send the message that you don't put much value on it. And if you don't value it, why should anybody else?
Okay.
You also communicate that you may be ambivalent about getting ahead. And if you're ambivalent, why should anyone stick their necks out to support you? That's visibility with competence on the good end. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you do it? First thing you ask me, get feedback. Like I said, if your name's coming up in the room and they say you're this way, you never know. The only way you know is to ask. Reach out and ask. When my name comes up, what do they say? When I talk about projects, why did they pick me? I really would like to do this. Do you see me that way? You need to get feedback and start to adjust that image of you. Because that's, I agree with her. Unconscious incompetence. You don't know that you don't know. You move from that to conscious incompetence. I now know because I don't know. And you move from that to conscious competence because you do the work. I now know that I know. And then you move to unconscious competence. I can do it in my sleep, like riding a bike. And that's where you want to be. What you layer on that is visibility. So how do you do this? As a graduate, I say really simple things. Okay. Everybody in this room, do you know the person sitting next to you that you didn't come with?
Yeah.
Do you know why she came to this conference?
Yeah.
Do you? Do you know why she came to the conference? Do you? I'm trying to test. Did you have a conversation? Did you have a conversation with the person next to you?
Yes.
Ask the question. Not your hair, your back. I'm talking about deep conversations.
Yeah.
That's how you start to build the connections that Rebecca talked about. I didn't ask you to do it now, you're doing it on my time.
Duh.
So be personable. Be respectful.
Yeah.
And that's why I asked about the person next to you. At work, volunteer to take on work that nobody wants to do.
Yeah.
And do it, as my dad used to say, if you're the only mailman here, be the best mailman they've ever seen. Do it. That generations after you will say there was a mailman that was here and he was excellent at what he did. So do that. Speak up in meetings. Prep for your meetings, but speak up. Be clear, be articulate, be eloquent. Even if you have a different view, speak up. Your voice needs to be heard. And you say, who was that that said that? That's important. Finally, and most importantly, build and leverage relationships.
Relationships.
Say relationships.
Relationships.
We all know Carla Harris, right? Okay. 30 years, over 30 years on Wall Street. Before she retired, she was also an accomplished gospel singer. As part of her playbook, she says that as she wanted to get up in Wall Street, she determined and discovered it was important to her to stop focusing on performance currency, or to make room for relationship currency, which she described as the currency that is generated from the investments that you make in people in your environment.
Yes.
That's why I asked you about the lady next to you, so that you'll see her next conference. So let me break it down what this means. A shortlist has been drawn up for a new leadership position. You made the shortlist, right? Because you're competent, so you're on the shortlist. And then they were going down the list and they got to your name, and only one person spoke about you.
Wow.
What do you think will happen?
They'll
They move
reject
to the
you.
next name. That's why it's important that you're known for what you do and that you are comfortable with self-promotion. Not noise,
Not
but
noise.
articulating your achievements in a compelling way. If you got in the lift with a really influential entrepreneur and it's 6 floors, between the 6th floor and the ground floor, do you have an
Elevator
speech
pitch.
for him? Do you? Are you able to sell yourself
1
5
minute.
floors down before you no job? No. You sell exactly what you want to do from 5th floor to the ground floor. If you don't know, you need to go articulate your story of you. To do it in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 flow. Thank you very much.
I let your time take into my time to close, so it's okay. But I will have finally Mecca Wood come to the stage to give the last presentation of points, and then I'm just going to try and summarize some of my findings from what they've said. But actually, yeah, there was something I was going to say before that, which was, is it Sarah? Yes. Sarah said something really beautiful in the previous panel about recognizing the gifts in other people, and it brings to me this idea of relationships and relationship building.
Yeah.
What are the gifts in everyone else's, experiences, and how can that help to connect other people as well, not just for yourself. When other people have issues or problems, how can your ability to recognize somebody else's visibility help others? So I thought that was a really beautiful point. You touched on it as well. And so without further ado, the Emperor.
Woo!
The Lioness.
Right, where were we? You know, I really love the back team. They do my job beautifully.
Oh my
So
God.
they come up here and they told us about all these competent people. She even said, and to make your achievements visible. And the one thing they keep forgetting is the word more. They've told us how to be visible, what to do, how to make ourselves visible. The question we were asked was simply, which one's more? Which one do you need more? Competence or visibility? Answer, shoot left, shoot right, one or the other. So, on that note, they've also said, they didn't call your name, you were on the list, they had a list, but they got to you, bias. You're a woman, half the time, they don't put your name in until you're so comfortable and they can't afford not to pick you. That's what it is, bias. So, that's it. The other one is opportunity cost. You know, people always think there's no opportunity cost. There is. For every time you take, there are always 100 stones. So every time you take one stone from here, you have to put it in the other one or the other one. And soon, I'll get to that here. You see what you lose whilst you're chasing visibility.
Hey.
Right.
Voila.
And I love that they talked about relationships. My next piece is on that. So, independence and career progression. In terms of career progression and workplace dynamics, independence is essential. I had a mentor back at work, an older female partner, bless her, who often said that bad behavior in a workplace often stems from lack of real confidence. A lack of confidence that often arises from incompetence. It breeds arrogance, masquerading as confidence, and can be extremely dangerous in the workplace. Independence gives you freedom. And you know what gives you independence? We talked about it. Competence. Independence gives you freedom. The freedom to know that you can walk through it, and your identity will follow. Authenticity, that's what we're talking about. You're authentic because you're confident and competent in yourself. I'm so sorry, guys. And so that your credibility, the relationships that you have built over time. Because I said it before, your credibility is actually always relationships you build. People who will say, there she is, she's excellent at what she does, you should trust her. You'll be in demand. It's pure economy. The independence and credibility insulates you to a large degree from workplace politics and provides direction needed for career progression. Now, you guys want to see. So, I had a younger colleague and we got to learn. Unfortunately, somewhere along the line, perhaps at that conscious incompetence stage, she allowed herself to be enticed by the visibility theory, the fear that her competence would not be sufficient to progress her career. She threw her resources into being visible. Being visible to those she thought would advance her career, quest to become a partner in the law firm. The more resources time and effort she spent on visibility and invariably politicking, the less she spent on building her competence. She eventually ceased being competent and became trapped in a cycle of politicking. She made it to partner, but I dare say that even she was unsure about whether she deserved the position. Recently, another colleague, and this is a true story, another colleague had to work opposite her on a transaction. It was really sad. She had become incompetent and was afraid to engage, almost ashamed to even meet with this other colleague, who like me had been one of her mentors. She had lost her competence, and with it, her confidence and vital professional and social relationships that built her credibility, all slaughtered on the altar of visibility. The real tragedy is that if she had remained focused, I have no doubt she would still have been partner, albeit a little later. She would have had independence, freedom, and continued strong relationships. I would even go as far as saying that she's trapped. She likely cannot leave the firm because she has little professional currency to spend. And were she to leave, she would eventually become a 2-year journeyman, moving from one firm to the other every 2 years. That, statistically, and you can ask any lawyer in the city, is the average time it takes to get found out in a law firm, barring a bit of luck and lots of bad behavior and toxicity. Now, imposter syndrome, we all have it. Women more than men. Whilst we can't eliminate those feelings, it's a natural way to feel. It's almost like nerves before you have a race. Competence gives you a platform to fall back on and anchor. Visibility without competence simply amplifies those feelings of inadequacy and can cause tremendous pressure and anxiety. Now, whilst on our journey of career progression, it's easy. We so very often lose sight of the most important things in our lives. Careers become our identity and intrinsically part of who we are. Our careers, therefore, have a tremendous impact on our lives and well-being, physical and mental. Visibility, whether positive or negative, in itself puts significant pressure on the best of us. The pressure can become stifling when coupled with insecurity and lack of confidence. These can, and very often do, ultimately affect our mental well-being. Ultimately, a true measure of success is how happy and fulfilled a person is. A career should not be measured by how far we travel, but also how secure and safe we feel in ourselves on that journey. If we look back at that journey with nostalgia and smile, have done it our way, our own skill. My friends on the other side of the debate argue that without visibility, competent people are overlooked and left to wither, becoming resentful, denied the same opportunities, and we are more visible colleagues. I beg to differ. Granted, visibility may open the door, but competence keeps you in the room. And more often than not, credibility is that beacon of light that always shines through. Someone, maybe it was Claude, once said that visibility is a microphone which amplifies a voice but cannot make a message meaningful. Competence is the message.
Round of applause for all of us. I'm very aware that Ijoma one of the panelists has to leave. Can we have a group picture before we head out? Okay, thank you. And then I'll make thank you for that. And then I'll make it 2 minutes. It's supposed to be 5 minutes, but I'll make it 2 minutes. So the photographer, can we come out to take our group picture so that Ijoma can head out?